think we are live. Are we live? Let's see. Guys, if you are in the comments, please let me know if you're live. Well, hello guys. I think we are live now. Dinesh is here. Hi Rajat. Uh, Pranav. I hope your on-call shift was good. It was better than nothing. Like I thought like no one is going to show up on this stream, but we have 4 people who is watching already. That's a nice start. What else? Which book you are reading nowadays, bhaiya? Uh, Related to what? Like, uh, are you asking related to question like SRE or something else? So, if you talk about SRE, I am going through some blogs and also going through uh, book by Google. So it's more about like what is SRE, and other than that, I am reading a nice book called Santaram, general book. Yeah. So I'm reading a book called Santaram. It's written by Gregory David Roberts, and it's a nice story about a mafia in India, and especially in Mumbai. It's a good read. So basically, in that story, the writer himself is involved in some crime, and he depicts that the person itself is a fugitive from a country, and he moved to India to survive, and then he joined some crime mafia over there, and how he, you know, uh, rise from that from a fugitive to become a criminal. So it's a good read. What else? Like, it's no problem, Dinesh. Is there a roadmap you can recommend to Swiss who want to learn SRE skills? And can I type name of in chat? Oh, okay, name of the book in chat. Sure. Santaram. The name of the book. Yeah, back to question for from Rajat. So yeah, definitely. I guess in big companies like Google, even Facebook. So in those companies, like few Swedes are encouraged to go for SRE role because SREs are in demand, and the revenue for each company depends on how reliable your system is, how reliable your infrastructure is. So there is a demand for SREs, and these big companies always encourage Swedes to transition from core suite to a bit of SRE, since Swedes are mostly into into developing features, into developing products which users use. But SREs are software engineers who are mostly into developing system around internal infrastructure, which will make system more reliable, which will make system more fault tolerant, so that it does not impact the revenue itself. So yeah, there are few programs in big companies which encourage Swiss to transition from Swiss to sweep side to SRE side. And the roadmap is like since you are a software engineer already, you do not need to understand, you do not need to learn coding part again because you are good at it. But the thing is that few things lacks is uh, you have to prepare, you have to build your skill around operating system and networking, so how things work, right? So this is like a great example, not great example, like I used to do this in my college life, like to connect every dot what I learned in my college. So since you're a software engineer, you write code. Maybe you have written code in C++ or Java or some other language. But let's talk about C++. It compiles, right? So how can you compact each subject that you studied in your college curriculum? Like you started studying programming, then you studied operating system, you studied microprocessor, you studied compiler. So and even you studied theory of computation. And I think theory of computation is the most interesting subject in computer science because it holds, like, it connects all the dots. So when you talk about, when you talk about writing code in C++, you compile the code, and there comes compiler into picture, right? So compiler is a system which compiles your English language, that you write your code in somewhat English, if it's not Python, but in C++ you write code in somewhat English, like at for loop, while loop. So compiler understand to how to convert uh, that logic into some machine readable language. And then there is assembler. So then that code is transferred from readable language to machine language, and then assembler converts that to into assembly language, and then assembly language is converted into I mean mostly into zeros and ones, because when you were studying about computers in electronics, so there comes transistors. The transistors understand, like, it's just on and off, right? All the operations you do on your computer, either you click a mouse, either you play a song, play a game, it's just a matter of, like, just the logic behind is zeros and ones, on and off, on and off. All the transistors are getting on and off, right? So 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 from end to end, this is the procedure, right? So you write a code, and then it compiles back to compiles to some machine language, and then that is converted into zeros and ones, and that is read by, or that calculation is done by your microprocessor, right? So you must have also um, uh, I mean, you must have also written a code where you have to put some input to your uh, code, like input your name, and then it will print out hello. Then whatever name you passed, like let's say I passed Rajat, so it will say hello Rajat. So what enables you to uh, use a scanf function, right? What enables you to get the input from user? So there's this concept in microprocessor you must have learned about interrupts. So they are like different interrupts. They can be hardware interrupts, they can be software interrupts. So when you use scanf function, there is another system syscall called write. So there's like read and write. So so this function allows you to get input from the standard input std in. And how this works, like, there is an interrupt written in microprocessor, like you when you are using this function, when you want to get input from a user, you have to use this interrupt, you have to use this piece of code written in embedded system. And when you click H or RAHUL, my name, so it specifically understands that when you're clicking on R, which section of code will run. So there you can connect microprocessor, where microprocessor is using the interrupt thing. And I was talking about this, like how you can connect all the computer science thing in one simple code. And where does theory of computation comes into picture? You must have heard about finite automata and finite machines, right? DFA, NFA. So this concept comes into picture when you design a compiler. Like, when I see if, so what you have to do. When I see while, what I have to do, right? When you leave a semicolon or uh, curly bracket, how does compiler start compiling that you have left this? So this is how it is done in compiler. You must have seen, like, you can create an automata machine that if semicolon is left, you cannot reach the final stage. So you can connect everything, all the dots in just one writing one code and understanding what's going on, what's going behind it, right? So Swede needs to understand, like, it's not all about DS and algo. It's just, I think, small percentage of computer science. So they need to understand, like, software engineering is way beyond just DS and algo. And so the SREs are. So you need to understand, like, how system works. So you need to understand, like, if let's say there's one scenario where you have to fetch some item from database, right? Let's say it's uh, a small example. Let's say it's WhatsApp, and you have to get message from a database, not just WhatsApp, let's say any system where you have to fetch some item from database, right? It's a read operation, right? You have to get the data from the database. So I'll come and ask Suisse that, hey, this is taking a lot of time. How can I solve it? So the SRE point of view would be something like how to debug this problem. Because Suisse are good at developing features, good at including features in the software, in the system. So let's say that Suisse started working on it and they implemented that you can read this from the database. But how to make it more efficient? How SREs can make it more efficient? So they will start profiling. So if you heard about profiling, so profiling is something like uh, you start debugging into each function and understand which function is taking more time, right? Let's say there are like five intermediary processes or intermediary functions which gets called when you are fetching data from the database, right? And I saw that let's say function B is taking much more time than it should. So I'll go through the code and I'll understand what is happening. Then I figure it out like there's no problem at all in the software, like the system, the Swiss have written exactly good code, like they have used a good algorithm. They have stored everything in proper data structure. So uh, there's no problem in software side. So I'll start thinking about what's happening. Then I'll talk about HDD and SSD. Maybe there could be some problem. Let's deep dive in the hardware itself, like which kind of disk they are using. Are they using HDD? Because hard disks are slower than SSD. So if in case we require some data really quickly, so we can use SSD in place of HDD, right? So this is the knowledge you need to understand, like from the hardware perspective as well. So you will ask people to replace HDD to SSD. And then also, let's say this piece of data that you require from database is something static that you don't need. They're not changing quickly, they're not changing regularly. So you can cache it, you can keep in cache memory. So this is how you can apply your system knowledge in building infrastructure, making it more efficient, making it more reliable. So I think this is the roadmap for SREs. They can explore these things as well. I hope I answered your question, Rajat. It was quite long. There's another question by Sarik who said, how much programming we need to get into Facebook P? Uh, as much programming you need to become a SWE at Facebook, I think, because in the core, Ps are software engineers who solve uh, operational problem, who solve uh, problems like making system more reliable with the mindset of software engineers. So they do not require to build uh, more sophisticated features in some product, but they require to program to solve some problems which are internal to the team. So yeah, you require programming as well for that. Feature request. Hey, hi Soham. Feature request for next set of videos. Industry skills and or theoretical knowledge required to harness SRE skills. Sure, Ajit. Especially for Swiss who don't know where to start or hated these subjects in college. Exactly, yeah. So I think you hit the right point, Rajat. Few people hate these subjects in college as well. Like, why should I learn operating system? Why should I learn networking? Why should I learn microprocessor? Why should I learn theory of computation? Why should I learn compilers, right? When I can just do DSLGO and get a great job at big companies. But yeah, I'll put this in my in my list about uh, creating such videos in next videos. Yeah. There are a few questions as well, like why should I become an SRE when I don't have to study much for sweet role? I mean, let me rephrase it. When I can just go through DS and Algo and get a good job as an SVE, but not as an SRE. I think it's perspective, like what kind of problem you want to solve. Uh, if you are good at becoming Sherlock Holmes, and you like Sherlock Holmes series, and you like, being a detective, being a person who solve stuffs which are mystery for masses, then SRE is a kind of a role. You can, have this kind of fun while doing day-to-day job life, in your day-to-day job life. Yeah. So they are like, they're like very critical problems to solve, right? So which are unseen by the world, like how can you make system like Netflix, right? How can you build system like Netflix, which is quite reliable, which is quite fast. The latency is very low. Even though you are on a phone with 2G network, you can still stream your videos in Netflix. And this problem was unforeseen. Like nobody had ever solved this problem before. So there's a person called Brandon Gregg. He wrote a book called System Performance. Uh, there he talk a lot about Netflix infrastructure, how which kind of tool he used, which kind of uh, Swiss Army knife he developed to, tackle this kind of problems. I think there's a lag between my audio and video of people who are watching the video, but sorry. What was the last cool thing? What was the last cool thing you learned in your job as a P or P? Sorry. Uh, I I did not uh, work on some cool projects yet, but I knew few people in the industry who have done so. So there are few people who have, saved a billion of dollars. So it's a huge amount for company, right? So by making things more efficient, they have saved a lot of money. And I was watching through this what is P video in Facebook engineering portal. So there was this uh, video in which they were talking about they developed some Arduino kind of thing which used to replicate what you will be doing with your mouse and keyboard. So to automate stuff, they used Arduino. So it's also a cool thing to do. I have also seen few people making code more efficient, so which cut cuts down inefficient reads or write on database, right? Because when you're talking about on lower scale, when it's just on your system, just on your laptop, it's negligible. But when you're talking about a company like Google, it's huge, and reads and writes are huge. So even though you cut down some reads and inefficient read and writes, you will be saving lot of money, and also a lot of climate impact as well. Uh, you will contribute to climate as well. So data centers produce a lot of heat, a lot of energy, and those energy are wasted. So you can also, even one line of code will make things more efficient. I have seen few people who have changed. I learned from person who has changed some piece of code, just one line of code, and it saved billions of money in big companies. So that's one cool thing to do. Um, what else? Okay. Sorry about that. Best city of site for beginners. I think you can log into cityoftime.org. Cityoftime.org. And that's the best place to understand. Like that's the best place to see which kind of CTF is ongoing, which kind of CTF is going to happen in near future. So it's like a one platform you can track all the CTFs ongoing in the world. For beginners, I would prefer this Pico CTF, which is done by students of CMU, Carnegie Mellon University, and it's for beginners. I think the challenges are uh, good for beginners, but it's not like just for beginners. Once you start solving problems, it's based on level. So when you go from level 0, so it's for beginners, and then you start growing, and it goes for like a week or so. It's a long CTF challenge. How about over the wire? Yeah, that's good as well, over the wire. But it's not CTF. I think it's more of a challenge platform, and you can learn from there as well. But it's fun to participate in CTF once in a while with your team, because in over the wire, I think there's no time boundation, so you can solve on your own uh, in unlimited time. But for CTFs, you have a time frame that you have to complete your all the challenges in this period of time. So that makes it more challenging, makes it more excitement. Sarik Masood asks, let me rephrase my question. Lead code easy, medium, or hard? What level is needed for a P at Facebook? For your information, I am SRE. Okay. I think it's more of a, I don't know, maybe medium or medium, yeah. If you have, if there are multiple questions, then medium. If there's like single questions, then it would be hard. We have been streaming for like how much time? Almost half an hour. There's no more questions. Hmm. Anyways, let me add this one interesting question was asked in my LinkedIn DM, that how should you tackle with behavioral round? Okay, we have a question. Any advice for students still in college wanted to work as SRE in future? All right. Uh, I think for students who are in college right now, they should start focusing on uh, core, like fundamental subjects, like how does operating system works, and I discussed around like just a C++ code, and I was talking about how you can connect everything in background, like what's happening in background, right? So from writing has an included stdio.h and to or like printf hello world, and you get hello world on your screen. What happens in the background? You need to learn that. You need to connect all the dots. So like you write the code, you compile the code, and then assembly language, then zeros and ones, and then that's gets converted into uh, instructions, and those instructions, like if this is this, like what should you do, that you learn in your microprocessor classes, right? There's like multiple operations: add, XOR, or, and, right? Subtract, something like that, multiply, divide. even there are like interrupt operations as well. Like if this kind of interrupt, like where should you go for the instructions, interrupt instructions. So uh, you need to map all these things. You need to understand the fundamentals first. And for that, like I think since Soham was asking about CTFs, so it's a competition called capture the flag. It's similar to what people do for not similar exactly, but it's similar to what computer programmers do. uh, it's more of a challenge which goes around 3 days to a week, and you have to solve some challenges, which includes getting the flag somehow. Like there are vulnerabilities in your code or maybe in your website, something like that. So with the understanding of operating system networking, you will learn a lot of things to solve these kind of challenges. And at the end, you get the flag, you submit the flag, you get points. And similarly, you just there will be a scoreboard, and you go on top of it, like you go on top of it when you solve the challenges. So I used to do in my college, and using that I learned a lot of things, like in security part, uh, how does how you can debug a code using GDB, or how you debug code for Python, something like that. I just ask, who has been your role model in your journey so far in the industry? I mm, it's me. Sorry about that. I think there are many people, like I got fascinated uh about computer science from early age, when my father brought computer in my at our house, and I started learning how to play music, watch video. So I used to get fascinated how things work in background, right? So uh I was always into this, like uh opening things, like disassembling things and learning what's the engineering behind it, and then assembling it back, right? So SREs do the same thing. They disassemble thing, learn what is going on inside, and then assemble it back by making it more efficient, making it more reliable. So for role model, like there are few people who I used to watch. There's one person called Live Overflow, on it's a YouTube channel. He used to do a lot of things around it, and I learned a lot of things from him. So yeah, I'll write down the channel name. Live Overflow YouTube channel. At one point of time, I was also inspired by Bill Gates and uh, Steve Wozniak, because he was a tech guy, and also Mark Zuckerberg as well. Like in very early age, uh, he created something which was this huge, which is this huge now. Yeah, since nobody is asking question, I'll go through that question. Like people ask me like what to do in behavioral round. So in Google, it's called Googliness. So they will ask you question, something about yourself, like what you have done so far, why you want to join this company, why you are going to, like why you are leaving the company you're working for, uh, and questions like, uh, I mean, when you're working in a team, if there's some conflict between you and your team member, how you're going to solve it. And question like if there's a conflict between your manager and you, how you're going to solve it. If you have some idea for the team, how you're going to convince people in the team that this idea is good and you should and people should work on it. So these are the questions like you are asked in behavioral round, and I think there's a good method to good method to answer these questions. Like it's called star method. So it's something like let me go through it once. Star method. I also forgot about it. It's been time. So it's something like situation, task, action, and result. Like you will define the situation, right? And what kind of task can be pulled off, and what would be the action you will take, or and the team will take, and what will be the result, right? So you can frame your answer based on this rule. And like most of the people, I think, follow this method. What are your new? Just ask me question round. What are your near future plans? Do you plan to work as SRE ahead, go into full-time teaching, mentoring, or startup? Uh, I think my future plans, I have not worked upon it yet, but I think I want to stick to technical side for a longer time since I am very new to industry and I want to learn things from senior engineers, from experienced people. And when I am learning, I want to teach people side by side, teach younger generation who are into uh, their college right now in India and they want to make their career in SRE field. I want to inspire them. So yeah, first it would be teaching and mentoring. Not sure about startup, uh, but since I learned few days ago that YouTube channel is also a startup, so I'll take it that. So teaching, mentoring, and startup. Vaibhav Bhadwaj asked, "Hello, bhaiya. I joined late, so I wanna ask that. Have you told about what should one do to be sorry, in product-based company? If yes, I'll watch the stream. When it will end? If no, please guide. Thank you." I think I have mentioned it before in at the middle of my streaming. So I'll just repeat it again. You should start working on your fundamentals, like not just DS and algo, but also about operating system, networking, and most systems, even for product based or service based company. Like I think both will be the same. What about DBMS? Sure, why not DBMS? I mean, uh, you are going to save data in database, right? And there are kinds of database like, and you should learn all of them. So, I know in big companies, like according to their use, they develop different database. For that reason, like you can see a lot of database around you, right? There's MySQL, there is NoSQL database. It's like what is it called? I forgot. Mongo, yeah, MongoDB, and then you have for like key value pair kind of database. So you store in Redis, uh, and then there is like Hive, HBase, Cassandra, like different use cases. So if you learn the fundamentals of DBMS, then if you're a part of a team who is developing new kind of database for their use, so only if you can work on that system only if you know the fundamentals of database, right? So if you have to work on some, let's say, acid properties, so you should know what are acid properties. So yeah, Hadoop is not a database system. HDFS is. So Hadoop is ecosystem, big data, but HDFS component is for storing data. It's a data store. Siddharth Sharma asks, well, hello Rahul. Thanks for organizing this seminar. Just a quick one. What happens in behavioral round? Yes, that I recently talked about it. Like I used to get uh, questions like this in my DM. So yeah, you should follow star method to answer such questions. And sorry, Siddharth, for not coming to your plan. So since you planned for uh, Gurudwara visit today, and I am staying here doing seminar for students, I hope it will help them. So yeah, I'm sacrificing for you guys. I think in 4 minutes we can end the stream. It's already been, I think, 40 minutes or so. Let me check. Yep, 40 minutes plus. In 4 minutes we can end the stream. And if you have any more question, you can ask in the last 4 minutes. At the end, lots of love from IHT Junior. Thank you. Thank you so much. I hope I am helping you guys. So the one announcement that I want to make at the end of this stream, that if you heard about Arpit Bhayani, he's a really good engineer. He's a really good SRE, and he talks about large distributed systems. So I asked him to be on my channel as a guest, and hopefully the next week or maybe next to next week he will be on our channel. So be prepared with your questions. Like, he works in a big system, and he has a lot of knowledge. And if you heard about his system designing course under hashtag Asli Engineering, and it's really popular, and you can ask any questions around his experience, his knowledge, whatever you want to ask about SRE. Just prepare those questions in like upfront, and hopefully that session will be really good, really great. Yeah. Can we directly apply for the international job opening? Do we face any problem? Will company handles the visa process? Referral works. Oh yes. Once you get the offer from big companies, either Meta, Google, DeepMind, Apple, or Microsoft, or Amazon, so you don't have to worry about your visa process. You don't have to worry about your uh, stay. You don't have to worry about your uh, tickets. Everything will be done by your company. So from once you sign the offer letter, you just have to produce your documents for visa. They will pay for everything. They will pay for visa application. They will even if there is no VFS at your in your hometown, and you want to travel from, let's say you are staying a remote part of Bihar and you have to travel to Kolkata or Delhi, so they will pay for that as well, like the flight tickets. So it's really Rahul saying hello, Rahul. So yeah, so it's really smooth. You don't have to worry about it. Everything is done by their on their expense, and you come to London or locate to any other place, you'll get a nice place to stay for a month or 2 months. You'll get cab from airport to your service apartment. So Yeah, everything is handled by them. Referral works, definitely referral works. Why it should not? I mean, it's a program to help recruiters to understand, like filter out, filter out from uh, large number of applications, right? For big companies, it's a huge challenge to filter out good candidates, and referral system works like that. So since I'm working with Meta, or people are working with Google, so they rely on employees for good candidates, because they will look for people, like they will refer those people who are good at what they are looking for. So yeah, it works, it definitely works. Thank you, Sikandar. No worries, Rahul, this seminar is more important and helpful. Thank you, Siddharth. And Ankit, how long it usually take for relocating and visa process? uh I think it takes a month or so, not more than that, because you have to go through a few processes, like for UK, I know you have to go through medical process, like you have to uh, get tested for tuberculosis. So it takes, I think, 2 or 3 days at max, and then you have to go to VFS for your fingerprint scan, retina scan, and producing documents. And if you're from non English speaking country like India, as in officially we are not a non English speaking country. So if you're part of such if you're a citizen of such country, then you have to go through a process called uh, you have to show a proof that you know English, you can talk in English, you can complete your job, complete your task in English. So for that purpose, if you have done your bachelor's degree in English, you can produce your degree and a certificate, or a, not a certificate, I think it's more of a uh, piece of paper where your head of department in your college can say that, yeah, he has, or he or she has studied everything in English, and you can produce that document to uh, and the same company who will deal with your visa process, they will guide you. You have to produce that, and in a week or so you will get a document that it has been verified that you have studied everything in English, and you are allowed to come to work here. So that will take around a week or 2 week, but everything will be done in one month. This is really helpful stream. Thank you for your time. Thanks, Vaibhav. Rahul says, my friend got internship at FB London. I also applied with referral but rejected. Okay. Well, I can't answer your question. Like, I don't know what to answer about it, but uh, depends on, like, what kind of project he has done, what kind of internship or experience he had before, because these are the things recruiters look for. I have seen, like, Google Summer of Code is quite underrated, but I myself have experienced that it's very, very good thing to have on your resume. It lets people know that you have worked in industry kind of environment before applying for this job. Since most of the engineers who are working for companies, they want you to revamp as soon as possible, and uh, compared with a person who has just graduated or is going to graduate from college, and who has not worked for any industry role, either on internship or Google Summer of Code, to the other person who has worked either in Google Summer of Code or has done some internships. So they will be more preferred, like, because they can revamp on the team quickly. They know how to use Git, they know how to use IDs, they know a lot of things than the students who are just studying in college environment, who are just following the syllabus. Sir, I know this is not related to the stream, but where did you get your mic setup from? Oh, thank you, Sikandar, for that. He just traveled to India and brought this mic setup for me. Uh, We both had same project, but the only difference was that he had internship on cloud and backend. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Rahul. Uh, so people want you to revamp on the team as soon as possible. So if you have more internship on your resume, more internship on different projects, different kind of technology, your probability will be more to get the job. And it also depends if the team is hiring on team is hiring on technology basis, like they want this to have in your resume, and another candidate has that specific thing in their resume, then they will be preferred, right? So it depends. Yeah. Okay, then so I think we are almost done, and we'll end the stream. I think it's more than our no, it's more than 50 minutes, but yeah. Okay, guys. It was nice experience to have first time going live on YouTube. I thought the chat will look deserted, but we had a lot of audience, and I'm glad that I helped it. By the way, can we expect an FB London vlog? I think no, we won't be able to do that. But yeah, let's see if that's possible. I'll add it. But at right now, I think it's not possible. Thanks a lot. It's really amazing. Good questions, Rahul. Thank you, Siddharth. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, everybody. Stay with the channel. I think the next video will be really good, where I ask few questions about SRE, or if you have some few questions. I think I'll add Google Forms on LinkedIn. You can go through it and add your questions, and I'll ask those questions to Arpit. So yeah, waiting for that moment. Anyways, it was nice seeing you here. Until then, bye bye. See you in the next video. Yeah.